So we got a little punch list to do on this thing before we take it out and put it in. So the first thing I want to do is, if you guys remember, I had a leak with this, so I actually got a 3-pack of gaskets. This gasket's like wet right now. Got a new gasket for here, and I'm gonna get a new chunk of coolant hose. So let's drain the coolant out. We'll replace that right now. Get this all doctored up. There we go. Jeez. I was not expecting on getting a shower today. That really sucks. I thought I prepared, but I was incredibly unprepared. Oh. Apparently where I tried to drain the coolant didn't work. I'm like trying to put Humpty Dumpty back together right now. Okay, well that was an absolute environmental disaster. I got way more than I bargained for there. Now we can take this off. I'm pretty confident we're out of coolant. I have my gaskets, but I do not have hose. We need, looks like a chunk of 2 1/4 inch hose from McMaster. So one of the other things we need to do is the belt drive on this. So it had an alternator on it that might have worked, but there's a local place here in Southfield. And I took it by there, and he said, yeah, he said, I can't rebuild that one, but he said, I got one that'll work for you that we rebuilt. So this is a local Reman alternator, 24 volts. He said it outputs a little bit more too, which is nice. We got a new pulley because the old one was just completely destroyed. Alright, so the only thing the belt drives is the alternator and the fan. So we gotta put our fan idler on. Let's go get that. It's probably completely unnecessary, but we're gonna go through this. There's 2 bearings in here and they're just greasable. Feels tight, but it does have a little bit of play to it. Grease. And we all thought it was. Wowee. Alright, so I got this back together. I have 2 gaskets down there, and then just one up here. And then we also got a brand new chunk of hose, just I think 2 3/4 from McMaster. What are you doing? And I also got this all cleaned up. So let's rebuild this fan quick. Kind of just winging it. We have 2 different bearings. I do know that. So this one should go on the other side, hopefully. No. Oh, it does. Huh. Does it? Yeah, it must. That's weird. Okay. This one goes down a ways, I believe. Oh, I waited too long. It's impossible to pack these without making a greasy mess. That's right in. I was kind of debating painting this before I assembled or after in this assembly, and I was like, I'll paint it before. Oh, I kind of regret that. Ooh, there's a spacer. So this must be what the seal rides on, or doesn't ride on, and that is pretty problematic. Hopefully she's okay. Okay, so that is it for now. I wish I had a hub to bolt on top, but I don't, because it goes to the fan. And then one of these O-rings goes in here, seals it with the fan. Let's throw a little bit of grease in it and see what happens. But you know what? Looks like we're gonna use the knees right there. Ew, what's in there? So I guess I gotta have the fan on here to really get that to grease, but that's okay. We'll get the junk out of there. I'm thinking now we should maybe get the fan part that goes on here, because that floats until you get that on, that traps that in there. And that would tear up my seal back there if that floats. So before we run it, we should do that, but I guess what we can do is paint this up in the meantime. some big belts, I'm guessing, because that fan takes a lot of horsepower. They're expensive. They're like $50 a piece, maybe. Hey, what's wrong? Huh? Alright, so the most important thing when you put two new belts on like this is this. You gotta line this part up, and I did. Put this one backwards. So now as it goes around, it looks super legit. Yeah, look at that. So I think I might try and grab the inner part of the fan. Oh, but that looks good. So now when we see it start it up, we can see if it charges or not. So the next thing I want to jump into is this thing just leaks fuel from like every single orifice. Down there, like that's leaking, that's leaking. One of those up there is leaking. So let's see if we can fix some of those up. I don't see anything that would say it shouldn't seal. That doesn't look good down there. I don't know how that'll seal, or if it will.
And look at you, you had to be in fit. Weird. It's a roll of poop bags.
You gotta fix that somehow. Alright, I don't think I'm gonna recover from this. So I know I have a whole head's worth of these up at my dad's, so I'll probably just wait and get one from him. There should be a good one. So then that leaves us with these two, and I think I'm gonna cheat on these. Wow, that's probably way too tight. Fortunately, all I have is blue. Man. This, if you get the right Parker fittings and the right Parker hose, this stuff bites. You can tell because I can't even get it on. Got the lines down. That looks a lot better. Should be leak free. I'm happy with that. Alright, so then this fitting right here is just a drain. So when you bleed the fuel out, it doesn't just go everywhere. It goes out this drain. And right now, it's just draining on top of our alternator. Our new alternator. That's better. And then this sediment bore right here is leaking too. But I'll have to order a new gasket for that, I guess. Man, it is storming right now. Alright, got a little bit of a change of heart. Decided to throw more parts at it. Just kind of was talking it over with my dad. decided, you know what, brand new engine. The paint on the stuff's flaking anyways. So I got 6 new of these adapters or stanchions or whatever you want to call them. And I got 6 new injector lines too. I'm not messing around. I'm supposed to torque these to 105. And I did when I built the engine, but I can't really get a socket in these now. So I'm just gonna get them tight. So the other nice thing about new lines, number 1, they're clean, they're not plugged. And then number 2, they're plated. All right, hopefully this officially puts the injection lines to bed. So I'll go through, do the other 3, and then I'll see you guys on the other side. All right, those look real nice. And there's like a compression deal in there too that I could feel tighten down. So that actually could be why it was leaking before. Maybe the other ones are bad. Funny thing though, I ordered them 6 individual. Like I said, I should have ordered the kit from Heavy Duty Pros, or I don't know, some Google website. They sent me 5 CTP and 1 no-name brand, and the no-name brand wasn't plated. So I can't find that first line CTP brand anywhere. It's like back ordered, out of stock right now. So hopefully it comes back in. I called the plating place just to see, and they're like $100 minimum. So the line's $10. I'm not paying $100 to get a $10 line plated. So we'll see. I'm gonna let it ride raw for now, and then when the CTP ones come back in stock, I'll just throw that on. I got notification waiting, so good. I think we're about ready to fire it back up, and we can see if we have fuel leaks or whatnot, see if it charges. I just got to make a couple cables for that, so we can do that quick. Ooh, that's a nice lighter. And then on these, for some reason they run on ground too. So I'll probably run on ground back to there. All right. Should be a charging machine now. All right, it is probably like 2 weeks later. And if I remember correctly, we need to start this thing up. So I put just the chunk of the fan hub on so that our pulley's in place now. So remember, what I want to see is if we're getting our proper oil flow down there. So what we should see is we should see oil coming from that seam right there, and just a bunch of oil splashing around in there. Just because the manual and the part difference between the head and the spacer engines and everything wasn't quite where I thought it would be. So I'm getting a little bit of like seepage down there, down the head, and it's like wet back here, but I'm thinking that's just fuel left over from when we had all those fuel leaks. So I don't think I am, but I hope I'm not getting like coolant leaking or something. My coolant and my diesel are the same color, so I'm kind of like, what could it be? So I don't know. Let's start it up and see. All right. You guys ready? I think this is off. It's been so long I don't remember. Still get nervous every time. Well, that didn't go very well at all. I must still have air in one of my lines because it's running like garbage, smoking a lot, and I don't see any oil coming up at all. Which is exactly what I didn't want to see. I don't know if it would be, I think it would be. I think you would see oil almost splashing out of here. And when I look under the head, it's basically completely dry under the valve cover. That's not good and that's not cool. All right, take two. Should be running a little better at least after I bled the fuel lines out. I'm not crying, I swear. I'll be honest with you guys, it looks dry as a bone under there. And that really sucks. So I guess we're taking the valve cover off and see if we can figure out what's going on. Well, I don't really know what to say other than this absolutely sucks. Well, just as we expected, bone dry under here. So this right here is the one that I expect to be different because the oil feed comes from this side of the engine. So I was thinking about it in my head, and there is no way that we can just take this off and slide it off because there's a dowel that goes down into that. So I gotta take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 head bolts off, unfortunately. So the real kicker is, I think we'll be able to fix this one up okay. But the other 977 that we got going, the original head to that machine was cracked. Oh, so we put the head from this machine on, and I'll show you guys in a minute here, but that does not have the proper oil passage. So we need to put a different head on that machine, which sucks really, really badly. Look at this fastener compared to the rest. This is number 6. See all the oil around it? So that's good. That tells me that it's trying to oil it. Actually, I have to show you guys the oiling flow or whatever. So it's trying to oil it. It's just not quite getting there because it's blocked off here in the rocker arm. How are we gonna get that out? All right. So now, this is our number 6. So the oil feed for this design is supposed to go right through that hole. So what I don't know, and what I kind of had thought, was that just because it was supposed to go through that hole didn't mean it couldn't work its way through here. So that's kind of what we need to find out, is can it work its way through here? Is that allowed? Even though we kind of know it's not, or is the shaft different? Because I believe, judging on the information I have, this and the shaft are different. All right, so just disclaimer, this is from the D333C that we have, and this is from the late model 3306. What I really should do is I should get the one for this engine, but that's up at my dad's, buried under a machine. But right now, I can kind of already see what's going on. So it's gonna be hard to show you guys. Down in here, there is a hole that goes into the shaft. So the way the oil feed works is the oil, this head bolt goes into the block, right? So in that passageway for the head bolt above the threads, it's bored a little bit larger, and there's just an oil passage. So the oil literally just goes up around the fastener up to here, and this is capped by the washer. So the oil will go in that hole, and then down this rod, there are gonna be holes at every single one of these pivot points, right? So then it'll just oil this is all it does. Simple. This one, because they went to a they went to a spacer plate block, not a counterboard. So they got rid of the bolt hole oiling, and there's actually just next to the bolt, there's a separate oil hole that goes all the way up through and oils this. So that engine is a non-spacer plate block. So the way the oil feed works in that engine is it is meant to feed this way, not this way. So if you look, you can kind of see down in there, this just doesn't have anywhere for the oil to go. So I think I'll double check, but I think this rocker arm assembly will work just fine. The only difference is, or the only issue is that one is cracked right there because it got hit with the claw. So I'll just pop that off and we should be on our way. Okay, so real quick, here's what I'm chasing. This is the lubrication schematic for the entire engine. So we go from our sump up through our oil cooler. There's a couple bypasses here, which is pretty shady, but we won't get about that today. And then your oil filter. So yes, it can bypass your oil filter, and it does before it's warm. Go up to your main oil galley. We oil our mains and our piston oil squirters. This goes out, I believe, to our turbocharger. This just goes out to our oil pressure switch. And then this is what I'm talking about. So we come up through the head. Notice that. This is out to our oil pressure gauge and then up to our rocker arm assembly. So there's a special note here in the manual. Rocker arm oil supply, engines without spacer plate. So that shows you very clearly just into the bolt bore, up through the head, into the rocker arm, and then with the spacer plate. So this one has a separate oil channel, and it goes up through the spacer plate and into the rocker arm. So I had spacer plate rocker arm on the engine, and we need non-spacer plate rocker arm on the engine because, as you guys saw, this one doesn't have the hole to go from the bolt passage into the rocker arm. If you guys go back and watch the original rebuild video, I kind of went about this at length. I don't know why it didn't click to me. Is this thing gonna fly? Probably. And I don't know. It never clicked, or it should have clicked because I kind of knew it. However, at least this is why I looked for this. Because I kind of knew it was maybe a problem. So no harm, no foul. Just kind of sucks to have to go back. Yeah, so see that hole right there? That's what'll oil your actual rocker arms. Ooh, this rod is bent, actually. That's the issue. Okay. Looks like I gotta get a new rod. The dang claw got me again. Oh, I don't know if I can order a new rod or what. The issue with this rod is the hole for that just doesn't line up. All right, so got our new rod in. This is a CTP rod. And I'm expecting this to be an exact match to this one. And it's just gonna have one extra hole in it to line up with this gland, and it does. So that looks good. This one should be straight. It's the same length. So I am happy with that. So now can we try and put this back together in the correct order of operations? It's like Humpty Dumpty. All right, so this way. So now we just got to put the proper sequence and not only sequence but facing of these guys back on. So I'm going to pull up a picture for that. Alright, so this one over here. Oh, it's going to be this way, I believe, because our valves are away from our holes. And then I thought there was a little spring that went on the outside, but maybe not. So this one just has a washer and a retaining ring, apparently. Man, it just looks like there's barely enough to get that washer on. Oh yeah, there's a little spring right here too. Alright, I'm already lost because this one's a decent amount longer from that dowel hole. You can tell. So what do we do? What do we do? Oh, it's always something. Why? None of these are gonna work. Because I'm supposed to have a spring, a washer, and maybe another spring. Or another washer. That's significantly longer. Shoot. What do you got? 2 washers. Wow. Alright, so I got that on. I took the pin out and pushed it that way. Then I put 1 washer and the spring clip on. I think technically I'm supposed to have this Belleville washer, this disc washer in the middle, and another washer on it. But that shaft is just too short from CTP, so it's kind of a super bummer. But I mean, it's not gonna go anywhere. It's just kind of a bummer, like I said. So let's throw it back on. Oh wow! Luke, hey, where are you going? You got a bubble more? Well, that's not good. Because for some reason, I have coolant in my head bolt. Wow. What's the saying? When it rains, it pours? Christ, I can't catch a break on this thing. This is driving me mad. Why is that full of coolant, Luke? This one's not. The oil is a little over full. but I'm not sure if that's like something, I might have just overfilled it. I don't see it milky at all. But why on earth would I have a bunch of coolant in one of my head bolt holes? I don't know if I need to take the head off now or what. That just doesn't make sense. I need to think about that. I need to think about that long and hard. All right, it's 4th of July morning. Happy 4th of July, everyone. Great day. Had a couple beers last night. Relaxed, talked myself off the ledge. So this is maybe what I think's going on with the coolant in the bolt hole. So it's just one. It's this one. Hear that? So sometimes, just in the casting, the water jack will go into the bolt hole. It would say, I think in the manual, that I need to put sealant on the bolt. That doesn't say that in this case, so I don't think this one does. What I kind of think is I just think that taking 6 head bolts loose isn't exactly the best thing when, I haven't even heated this up and given the gasket time to kind of bond and seat in, right? I've hardly run it. So I think we just need to clean that hole out. I'll make sure we're not getting coolant anywhere else that I need to remediate before I put it back together. And then I think what I'll do is I'll take the 6 glow plugs out and we'll roll it over just in case, by any slight chance that anything got in one of the cylinders. Obviously, if that happened, we roll it over, we could bend a rod or something because it would lock up. But I don't think we need to panic. I think we just need to put it back together and run it because it was fine, right? I started it up, everything ran fine. I wasn't getting like bubbling out the coolant. It sat for probably a month, started it again. I didn't have coolant in the cylinders after it sat for a month, stuff like that. So I know it was fine. It just maybe isn't that fine right now, but that doesn't mean that we need to tear it apart. And if it's not fine, we'll eventually find out. And if we have to replace a head on it or a head gasket on it while it's in the machine, such is life sometimes, right? But I think we're gonna be fine. I'm not too worried. So let me, I gotta clean that hole out and then start over. Oh, the other thing I was gonna say. Yeah, see, that's interesting. I almost feel like I'm getting a little bit of coolant in all of them. Which could be possible because if you look, essentially my last head bolt is here. We let up the whole side of the head. I've got these little guys holding it down, but that's not gonna do anything. We all know that. The other thing I was gonna say is when I pulled the bolts out, I never noticed anything like they were all wet, right? I just pulled the bolts out, so that's another key to me. Yeah, boy, there might be coolant in most of them. So the only thing it says to put on the bolt is 9M3710 anti-seize compound. And I looked it up and it looks just like anti-seize compound, so I don't think that's pipe dope or anything. The other thing was when I pulled these bolts, it's not like some of these were soaked in coolant like the one I saw was soaked in oil. So if I had to gauge right now, do I think we're gonna be okay or not? I do. I think we're gonna be all right. This new rod is kind of making me cobble things together. There's a dowel in this, whatever, bracket, if you guys remember. And in order to get that dowel to mate with the head, I gotta move it over, and then look how much play that thing has. I don't know why. I don't know if that rod's just not made to spec or what the frick. All right. I think we got her down. Let's torque the head bolts right away. That is a lot of clamp. Oops, sorry, I clicked it twice. Wow, this is tight. Holy cow. All right, let's take the glow plugs out next. So again, like if we were to have a head gasket leak and it leaked coolant into the cylinders, then the second we went to roll this over, we would probably likely bend a rod because there would be an incompressible fluid in that combustion chamber. And something's got to give. All right, so now we got to set our valves. We should be able to roll it over pretty freely. Yeah. So the good news is I didn't see any coolant rushing out any of the glow plug holes, which we would. So we've kind of vetted that. And then second thing is, we're at top dead center on number 1. All right, I think I got everything back together and adjusted. The only thing I'm not happy with is I'm still not happy with that rocker arm on number 6, just because of that new shaft. It's just pinching. I don't have the proper spring in there. But I'm thinking what I could do, since I got a lot of spare, I could mill down the face on one just to give me some extra room. I know it seems like a cobble job, but I'm never gonna have this apart again, you know, so yes, less than ideal, but I think that would suffice. Other than that, I think we need to start it up and see if we're getting our oil, like we should be now. See if we have issues with the coolant leaks. I put the glow plugs back in because I know there's no coolant in the cylinder, so I'm not sure what the metric for that is. It might just be kind of running it over time. I don't know, we'll see. So it's like 7 in the morning right now, so we'll wait and we'll fire it up. Go from there. I'm gonna start up without the valve cover on, so we should be able to see oil coming everywhere. Get real good eyes on it and make sure that we fix our oiling issue at least. So I'm just thinking about the coolant in the head bolt passage and a couple things I know. It was good before I took it apart. We know that because when I took the head bolts out, they were dry, and also I ran it, and it's had coolant in it for like a month, right? So if it was leaking coolant persistently, there would be oil. And I think my oil would be milky because I've ran it. So I think all that could have happened was just taking that row of head bolts out, took the clamp load off, and it just seeped in a little bit. But just to see, I'm curious to see if we have any coolant in here. And no, we don't. It's pure oil, so. Yeah. So if it was, no, it just was taking the clamp load off was all it was. Because if it was actually leaking coolant in here, we would know. There would be a bunch of coolant down here. So, good. I can sleep. All right, so here's the trimmed up one. You can tell it's kind of asymmetrical. And I also figured out why this thing is fighting me. So when I went to buy the shaft assembly, I could not find the shaft that I had in the parts book anywhere. Could not find anything. So I called the dealer and he said, yeah, I can get that for you, $300 or something. He said, do you want the new part number? And I said, actually, yeah, that would be nice. They made a new part number for this, and this first boss, the one with the oil that comes through it, I believe is different and modified. And the holes for the oil and the shaft are bigger. So basically, I think they had oiling issues with this whole valve assembly, and they changed that post, at some point with this engine. So it's not that CTP gave me a bad shaft at all. It's that I'm using this shaft, and really what I would need to do to use this properly would be new shaft, new assemblies to mount it to the head, and then also new rocker arm assemblies too. I don't want to do that, obviously, so we are not going to do that. We are going to run with our trimmed up rocker arm, and if I feel like changing it someday, I will, because the machine that has this rocker arm on it anyways, that head needs to come off. We've already gone through all that, so we'll just redo it all. See, I really jammed this thing in there, which was probably a poor choice. Hope I don't have to take the whole freaking thing apart. So let me know in the comments if you guys think I should run this one, or if I should go through this yet again and take the one off the other 977, put the whole rocker arm assembly in here. I think this one's gonna run just fine. I think we need to roll it over and see our oiling. All right, long story, but I got the B-Team batteries today. Little Odyssey and a big 4D out of one of the old dozers, so I don't know. Days. Looks like it'll get it. Scared the crap out of me. So we should see pretty quick right here whether or not we're getting oil out of our rocker arms, and that's what I'm keen on seeing. It looks like I see some air coming out, maybe. So I guess thinking about now, it might not be really quick. It might take a minute for oil to get everywhere. All right, it looks like we're getting somewhere. Look at those right there. To me, it looks like we're getting somewhere. And I even see some little drops down there. Look at that. Happy day. As long as the head gasket's still fine. We don't know about that yet. It's pumping fluid. You guys would not believe how hard it is with working on this stuff like once in a blue moon. I just completely forget everything that's going on. I don't know why that one's pumping. I actually don't understand what's going on. Wow. This thing is just not meant to be. I don't get it. Well, nevertheless, you can see I'm getting oil. There's a bleed hole on each one of these. The oil is coming out. I mean, I'd like to run it to really verify. I'm guessing it's just got a little bit of air in it or something, but. Typical. All right, I charged the batteries, bled out the injectors more, and I've got the glow plugs hooked up now, even though I don't think I should need those. I don't know. I just hope, in the back of my head I got like, is it losing compression or did it lose a little bit of compression because the head gasket's leaking? I don't know. But I just want to fire it up and still check and make sure that the rocker's getting oiled as it should. They're the worst alligator jumper things I've ever bought.
I think that's it. Problem solved. I'm gonna throw it together. If we have head gasket issues, we're gonna find that out in the machine. I'm done with this thing. I'm done running in the neighborhood. I want it out of my garage. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm gonna keep going on that torque converter rebuild. I got that just about done. I'm gonna throw that on the back here, and then we're gonna get this thing out of here and put it back on the 977. See you guys next time. And it's weird, it's still got like a little miss, but I'm 99.9% certain that's just a little fuel miss. So when we run it, it'll kind of iron out. If you guys think differently, let me know. But it's not like a consistent miss, you know, it's like a pa. So, and it's definitely not running on 5 cylinders like it was before, I don't think.